All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Milto ENT. And today I'm going to talk about a excellent topic. And again, my podcast does consist of video games, movies, reviews, things like that. But I'm also going to have segments or special themed episodes of different things that people primarily don't talk about a lot on their podcasts. Meaning, if a person has a specialty podcast, they literally talk about that, which is very captivating for their audience. But for me, I think that this is a topic that's kind of not similar to mental health, but it's like up there. If you do a lot of topics of things that people don't talk about or people avoid, this is one common topic that's been going on since the early days of living, and that is tipping. I'm gonna Google the first restaurant ever. They said the first restaurant ever was in like Australia in 803. Austria in 803. Oh no, 1765. So I don't know. Then I also see an article about restaurants was occurring in 1180 in China. But yeah, a lot of articles say 1765. So the reason why I am talking about a restaurant or anything is it's one living example of service. Service is very essential in the times that we're living in right now, especially during the pandemic era with Uber Eats, DoorDash, ride shares like Uber, Lyft, all types of stuff. Taxi cabs, a lot. But one of the biggest industries in tipping is always going to be the food industry or any industry that requires service. And I'm a server and I'm a bartender, and I'm working my way up top to be a manager. I've worked on cruise ships. I worked around the world traveling. I've did pretty much everything in the world. Poured wine, gave knowledge of which wine pairs with this, which wine doesn't pair with something, which alcoholic drink pairs with this. Like, oh, cool, you get nachos? Okay, get a margarita. Oh, you getting red wine? Okay, I suggest a steak to you. Knowledge. And my nephew said the other day that I don't get why servers get tipped. They don't do anything. And I can respect that 100%. However, I feel like servers do a lot. Because I have a current job. I'm not going to say where it's at. But I have a current job. And as servers, we have to cut the bread, butter the bread. There's a lot we got to do. So without that, people be like, well, servers not doing anything. Also, I had a job in one of the busiest restaurants in Texas called Katz's Deli. And when I worked at Katz's Deli, I'm not going to blast the company. That's not me. But one of the good things I liked was I was a server and a bartender. I was a lead server and I was a bartender. And I was on top of my stuff. Sometimes I may get overwhelmed, but if it's a Saturday or Sunday, that's the busiest times in restaurants. And on a busy Saturday or Sunday, especially Sunday when people coming from church, you gotta have a lot of drinks. And the number one most requested item on a Sunday or a brunch is always gonna be Bloody Marys or mimosas or some type of specialty drink that requires a cream-based liqueur like rum chata or a coffee-based liqueur or something like an Irish coffee. So I always went behind a bar. On top of that, I ran my food. And then on top of that, I cleaned my table. So I was multitasking. I'm not perfect, but I was multitasking. And I feel like if you have a good server like me, or a good bartender like me, or anybody else that's multitasking and they're slammed, I personally feel like if you come in to eat, you should tip them. If you see that it's busy anytime you go to a busy restaurant that's popping, I feel like you should tip your server, tip your waiter, tip your waitress, tip them. Because again, that's how we make our money. We work $2 a we're literally worth $2 an hour. $2 an hour at most places. And during the duration, after service is over, we got to do slavery duties, I call it. You got to wipe windows, clean up, do stuff that to me is kind of beneath you. But I always learned something. People always taught me that the value of you determines the outcome. Meaning, if you go to a job like Google or something, no disrespect, but they don't, they you don't need them, they need you. Meaning, oh, okay, what can you offer us to make you better than any other candidate? Then you start saying you have great customer service skills, say something, or I got proof in the numbers that I can, maintain good sales. I'm a product development coordinator, something that's out of the blue. Or just be different and be yourself and say, well, I don't know what to offer, but if you give me a chance, I guarantee you that I can maintain greater sales. Even if you start me off with this, I guarantee you within a week's time or 2 weeks time, I'm gonna learn it. Anyways, you just gotta be different. But with being a server, that's how we make our tips. And it annoys me in the service industry that people don't want to tip. Same thing with the pizza man. If you order like 5 pizzas to your business or your house, especially if you're a fat ass, make sure, not fat shaming nobody, meaning a person that just eats a lot, because I'm a fat ass. I probably order 3 or 4 pizzas. But you have to, I feel like you have to tip them because, yeah, they're driving, but they're delivering your food and they're delivering everybody else's food. And one thing about the service industry, you have to be very attentive. Very attentive. Like, one thing that grinds my gears is refilling water. Make sure you refill the person's water. Make sure you refill the person's Coke. Make sure you refill the drinks. I remember the other day we went to Olive Garden and the guy was on top of his shit. But me being a server, I'm very picky. That's why I want to be a manager so I can better people. Two things that occurred this week. When I went to the Olive Garden, my nephew ordered a root beer, Coke products. Everybody that know Coke knows that Barq's root beer is a fountain drink and it's part of the Coke brand. So my nephew was bought an IBC root beer, and I didn't see it on the menu. Maybe I misread it. But if you saying Coke products for a child, 9 times out of 10, we're gonna want refills, and a lot of people want to do refills for drinks. It's rare when a person buy a bottle drink. Only bottle drinks I would suggest to upsell as servers is like a bottle beer or a draft beer. There's some people that like bottle beer. There's some people that like draft beer. But if you get a bottle beer, get your cold glass. Or me personally, if you what I would have did, I would have said, "Oh, okay, this is not free refills, but it's a bottled root beer." Me, I'll go above and beyond and say it's a bottled root beer, but we don't have any Barq's on tap. Is that fine? Cool. And what I would do if it's a root beer, I'll probably, if it's an adult, or sometimes kids, depend on their age, I may get a cold beer glass from the bar and let the kid pour their Barq's root beer so it can be refreshing and foamy or pour it for them. Do something out of the ordinary. And that's one thing about it. If your service is doing something out of the ordinary to help you out, hooking you up with things, giving you discounts, singing happy birthday to you, I feel like you should tip them. I don't like when people come to restaurants be so demanding and so needy and so snobbish, thinking they're better than you and not tip you. I worked in elegant steakhouses, country clubs, every single business venue you can name, I worked. It always, no matter where you at, I don't care if you're black, white, Mexican, Chinese, Asian, because it's always stereotypes on who don't tip. People say African Americans don't tip. People say men don't tip dudes. People say women don't tip girls. Regardless of that, if somebody's giving you excellent service, hear me out. Now, hear me out. If somebody's giving you excellent service, tip them. If somebody like an Uber driver, if you say, yo, driver, yo, Diego, look, I gotta be at work in like 10 to 15 minutes. Traffic is occurring and everything. And the Diego go above me and say, okay, I know some shortcuts. Cool. You're going above and beyond. Or if Diego just BSing and just not helping you out, not caring, ignoring you, not talking to you, then you don't tip him. I'm very weird. I like to talk. And if I'm talking to the driver or anything and they're not, talking back, why are you here? Every service industry, I say this. Why are you here? Why are you here? I mean, Uber has a way like Comfort, the more bougie rides where you don't have to have a conversation. Because some people are business people, meaning they don't want to talk. They're going to be on their phone calls. They're going to be crunching numbers. They want peace and quiet. So it's like a mixed bag. But communicating to me can be nonverbal communication. Sometimes you don't have to talk to a person to, be courteous and, wave at the person, give them a nod, open a door for them, do something for them, lift up the trunk for them if you see they have bags, do something out of the ordinary. Everybody has a preference, but if the Uber driver, like some drivers can be rude. Sometimes they ain't even paying attention to you. You could tell them a shortcut and they don't listen to you. So what I'm trying to say, any serving industry, if somebody ain't on their shit, you don't have to tip them. Now, if they make a couple mistakes on a busy day, kind of forgive them because that shit kind of hard. And I actually got more tips when I messed up a couple times. But if you see that your server is multitasking and doing stuff, and on top of it at every table, don't fault them. Now, if you see that your servers is texting, playing, and goofing around, they're my type of people you want to be around. I remember I was being trained the other day, and I noticed the guy put the water cups away from the table and no coasters. Me, the type of server I am, I'm gonna just say, would you like any water or tea? Then I'll put the water and tea by them and the silverware on the other side. I will set their table up. A lot of restaurants have table settings different. And you got people that's very detailed and will move their shit. So that's kind of a mixed bag. But if a person is setting your silverware, it's silverware and plates and silverware should always be set no matter what. You should set their plate in the middle of the table and set your silverware left or right, however you desire. But wherever you like, at the end of the day, you gotta set the drinks where the person can reach it. Because if you don't set that drink where a person can reach it, that drink can fall. Especially in a rush hour. You don't want to do that. And put a coaster on there. Some restaurants don't have coasters. But me, I'm different. I'll put a paper towel. I will take my time, fold that paper towel. Like if it's a big paper towel, I will fold that paper towel up and make it small for a coaster or ask the bartender for some small paper towels. The bar don't have that. If a bar don't have coasters, something wrong with that picture. But also, if a server is honest, not negative, honest with you, like, what is your favorite thing on the menu? This is my favorite. Oh, okay, cool, 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 cool. What would you suggest to me? I would suggest this. Cool. What do you think about this? You don't have to BS the person to say, it's really good. I like it. When you say that, they gonna know that you lying. It's really good. I like it because you're nodding your head and your facial reaction. If it's something you don't like, tell them, I'm not a fan of this. However, I'm a fan of this. It's been times where I saw things that I did not like. And I literally said, I did not like this, but I tried it and I love it. That right there is going to be like, okay, cool. I may not be a fan of it. I may not be a fan of this. I don't want to try it. Okay. I guarantee you gonna like this. If you don't like it, I'll take it off your tab or I'll pay for it myself. It's on me. But I guarantee you'll like it. You have to be confident. If you got somebody that's confident, that's what's up. When I go to a restaurant or anywhere, and I say, you know what would you suggest me? This is my first time here. What would you suggest me? And Sometimes people can be frantic and be like, "What do you like?" Sometimes you can ask that, but sometimes it can be like, "Okay, cool. What do you like? Are you a pancake person, a waffle person? Okay, cool. I suggest chicken and waffles for you. Is really, really good. It's made with beer batter chicken. The waffles is sweet cream with ricotta in the batter. Da 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 da. The bacon is candied pecan bacon. It's just sorry, make it sound savory. And if your server is doing that, that's what's up. And the same thing goes with supporting a business. Meaning, if you going into the beauty shop or the barber shop or anything trying to get good in everything, and your barber is on top of everything, or your beautician on top of everything, and she may throw in the shampoo in for free, or may throw in the texturizer for free for you and hook you up, conversate with you, talk to you, suggest some styles for you. That's the type of person you go to. Because I do not like going to a barber shop where the barber is quiet or the barber don't listen to me or anything like that. Or if the barber messes up your edge up, first of all, this ain't no barber school, so you have a license to do good. Don't mess me up. And communicate with them. But if they just not listening to you, cutting your hair too fast, not listening to you, don't tip them. And the reason why I am very, very, very keen on tipping is like I said. I don't know if I said this earlier, but if people can pay for a Taylor Swift concert, a Beyonce concert, a Chris Brown concert, spend their life savings on that crowd, or go to a sporting event and just spend money, 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 money on season passes, spending at least, let's say it, between 200 to, let's say, 9 grand, 10K for these concerts and events. Because I'm not lying, that's how much most Beyonce concerts cost. If you are that type of person that do that, and you be a cheap, I don't want to curse you out. If you that cheap, supporting an artist that don't give two shits about you, but you go to a restaurant being at, not all of y'all, being a pretentious prick, being weird, ordering water, getting sugar and lemons on the side, knowing the place has lemonade, and you keep asking for more sugar, more sugar, more sugar, then eating the bread and then ordering something off the lunch menu. 9 out of 10, sometimes, believe it or not, those people kind of tip a lot. And I get that. But if you just doing that right there and being cheap and don't want to tip somebody, you tipping your server $1 or two and you being very rude and ignorant to them, or you just being cheap, then why go to a restaurant? Go your ass home and make a bologna sandwich and some chips and call it a day. I feel like even me, when I'm broke as hell, I have to tip because I'm in the industry. And everybody in the industry know this. You have to tip. That's like the number one thing you got to do is tip. A lot of people, I go to church. A lot of people tithe. Tithe is giving money to the churches. That's something I'm going to start doing. But also, it's people that just fork money into churches. They be manipulated by some of these scammy pastors and they fork money into the church. Then they come on a Sunday, especially, and want to be very, 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 very rude, get a big party of people. And some restaurants do gratuity, some restaurants don't. And if a restaurant don't do gratuity for a big party, shame on you, bro. Shame on y'all. I feel like y'all should do that. But a lot of times I don't turn gratuity on. But if you dress in your Sunday's best, ordering champagne to the table and everything, and you just be bossy and your server and busters cleaning your table, refilling you up with mimosas and drinks, giving you excellent service, and you just decide to leave them, like, say for instance your tab $300-400, you decide to leave a $10 or $20 tip. What? At least leave me $35 or $40 if I'm doing good, because again, most jobs, I'm making your drinks, I'm serving your food, I'm setting your silverware up, refilling your drinks, making your drink. I'm doing a lot. And every server is not like me. Same thing with a barber. Tip your barber. Tip anybody in the service industry. I'm not saying go outside and tip the mailman. I'm not saying go outside and tip. I'm not saying, oh, go to the VA and tip the military for serving the country, which actually wouldn't be a bad idea. But I'm saying people that's working for money with a low hourly rate or doing a service for you, you should tip them. I'm not saying, oh, go tip the people that be outside of HEB and Walmart talking about your lights and stuff and selling stuff. I I can respect people that make that commission, but I feel like if you have a commission background and you have been doing commission for years and you're really not happy with your commission job, I feel like you should aim high and be like a manager of a restaurant or a server or a sommelier and learn something. Be something because you have that salesman ambition. Go to real estate school, better yourself. Because commission jobs are annoying. And serving to me sometimes can be a commission based job because it's hard. You can't please people. But if you've been doing something for a long time and you know the craft, I guarantee you, you can do good. And there's been times where people that rarely tip, that literally say, man, I rarely tip, but you did so good. And I love that. It makes my day because you have to be yourself. You have to welcome the person. You have to open the door for the person. You have to make them feel special. You got to conversate with them. If your server is coming to your table 100 times, hawking you and making you uncomfortable, sometimes that's not good service. You can be a server where you can just literally look at your section because mostly every server have a section. You can look at your section, scan your section, make sure everything is right, pre-bus your tables, do what you're supposed to do. When you pre-bus your tables at everything and refill their drinks at everything and just try not to make mistakes, which is hard, you can do it. And I'm telling y'all right now, for all of y'all that's listening, you have to tip your servers because, or anybody in the service industry, because that's how they're making their money. People, especially Uber drivers, Uber drivers, some of them may not make much. Some of them may have a second job. Ubering, or that may be their primary job. Some of them may have kids to feed, but they out there working and helping you and delivering your food for you. And I love an Uber driver that had that little bag where your food is fresh. Or Uber driver that say, okay, I'm sorry about the delay. I'm be in a few minutes. Or your food may possibly cold. My apologies. You got, contact Uber and let them know. Or when you go above and beyond, I'm gonna tip you. Because I was a person that didn't believe in tipping. And once I got into the industry, I'm like, oh wow, this is very important. And I feel like if you go to a restaurant, you should automatically tip. Just like you have spending money when you go out with your friends, have that type of spending money to tip your server or your bartender, especially if it's something for happy hour. If happy hour is half off, $20, and you get two drinks or a drink, tip 15 to 25% at least. Or at least tip 18%. Tip something. Especially if it's half off drink where they're giving you literally the same drink. Most of the time it's the same drink with the same ingredients with the good fast service or sometimes slow. If they give you good service, no matter if it's fast or slow, preferably when it comes to service, I feel like service for a drink should be between 1 to 2 minute ticket time. And for food, 5 to 10 minutes. Sorry, screw that. 5 to 8 minutes. And there's restaurants I've worked at before where it was like the line was literally wrapped around the corner. And they were able to get the food out. Why? Because they were prepared. And when you're a server, you have to be prepared. And when you go to a restaurant, be prepared. Because sometimes if you constantly go to a restaurant or you go to a restaurant one time and you got a little money to yourself, especially on the holiday times or tax season, especially tax season, which is the worst time working at a restaurant because a lot of cheapskates come. then be ready. Be ready because, again, you never know who. It's go for both spectacles. You never know who you may be serving. You never know the background of your servant when you can, conversate with them. They probably own a business or something, and they doing this on the side just for a hobby. I met a lot of servers that just do stuff like this for a hobby. A hobby. So it's good to communicate with people and network with people on both sides and tip them. I'm not saying, oh man, this person just giving me money. Like, you telling me to give money to everybody? No. When I worked at Katz's, I had one woman that tipped me every time she came in because she knew that I was on top of my shit and I was good. And she know that I will cuss out the kitchen for fucking up her order. And I shouldn't be that way, but if I'm not gonna eat this and you not gonna eat this, why the fuck are we serving this? Don't give nobody a burnt, crisp hot dog with her or some cold food. No, especially if it's slow. No. So when you are above and beyond, when your server or anybody that you deal with in the service, meaning barber, beautician, bartender, especially the bartender, tip them. Stop being cheap and tip them. Don't go to a restaurant and not tip a person, especially when I go to like this steakhouse called Perry's when they have a pork chop special. That's the main time I tip because I'm gonna get a pork chop, the 3 wine, the little wine trio, some sides. My bill may be like about $20. No, I'm sorry, about 30 or $40, and I may tip $30 because you give me good service on a busy day, and I see that you're struggling, and I see that some people are cheap. Think about it. See, imagine your favorite server at a restaurant. Imagine him or her all like doing pretty much everything. But imagine you love that server. That's one of your favorite people on earth. That's the reason why you go to that restaurant. Only for them. Even if the food sucks. But you come just for that service and just to be near them. Similar to just like a therapist or a counselor you have to pay. That's what it is. Because sometimes they can make you laugh and they can make you feel good. If this person's making you feel good, making you feel welcome and not BSing and putting on a mask of like, oh, well, I'm just doing it for the money. No. Yes, I'm doing it for the money, but I'm also doing it because I love people. But just imagine that you're constantly tipping them and constantly tipping them and constantly tipping them. Then you see another server, they got a good personality, doing really good and doing everything that you never dealt with before, but they always on top of it. But they not making no money. Think of that when you go to a restaurant because you never know. But you don't know them. You never gave them a chance. People actually have servers or people that they trust. But sometimes that person is not there. You gotta have a backup plan. You gotta be prepared. You gotta meet new people. So it's good to tell people because if you can do it for a concert or buy constant jewelry and buy constant stuff, video games, or buy accessories for your car and everything, or support people that don't support you and all of that, then you can put that same energy and effort into tipping. And if you're wealthy and making some money, making a lot of money, that money may not be good to you. That money ain't nothing to you. Just be nice to people and make sure they're on top of it. As long as they don't have no attitude, as long as they don't mess up, meaning messing up, I give them two chances. But if they consistently messing up and not caring, not taking responsibility, blaming the kitchen and everything, don't tip them. You know people you don't tip. But if you being one of them people where you doing the most and you don't tip your servers or your beautician or anything, then I feel like you should do your service at your house or go somewhere else. Go to Waffle House or something. You know, I ain't even down Waffle House. Well, I don't know. But at the end of the day, yeah, even Waffle House. If somebody's going above and beyond, because it's rare to find good service in Waffle House. It's a lot of places I've been to, but you just can't say that about a business. So sorry, Waffle House. But if a person is going above and beyond helping you out and you doing the most and asking for a lot, I feel like you should tip them. So subscribe to my channel and have a great day.